Ti'n gallu gweld nawr, dyma ochr y forestry a planwyd nôl yn dechrau'r 80au. A mae'r coed wedi maturo nawr. Ers byti, 35 blynedd. A maen nhw'n mynd i gael eu tynnu mas cyn bo hir fi'n glywed. So, un o'r resymau ni ar yr afon nawr i gweld oeddi'r planhigion yma wedi cael effaith ar yr afon cwm sy'n rhedeg trwy gwylod y cwm fan hyn. Wel, oedd yr ardal yn mynyddig, agored, a oedd dim coed yma. Ond wedyn yn yr 80au, planwn nhw y coed. A fel chi'n gallu weld nawr, mae wedi newid yn gwbl glir. Mae gen i lluniau o fel oedd yr cwm yn edrych nôl yn yr dechrau'r 80au a hwyr yn 80au. A mae wedi newid yn hollol. There's a sprinkling of young of year fish, and they'd be fish that have hatched this spring, and there's some older ones, so there's certainly life here, but we'll need to compare numbers with what was found here 15, 20 years ago to see how numbers compare. But there's certainly fish here, which is positive. Yeah, so we're just wetting the measuring board, making sure that the mucous membrane on the surface of the fish is protected, because we want to try and ensure that the fish go back as unharmed as possible. We'd like to come and do at least an annual survey, but historically they've been done 3 times a year, in spring, summer and autumn. There was a lot of research that was undertaken on this stream back between the mid-80s and the late 90s, where a number of government organisations were given the task of looking at the effects of the forestry plantation on the local ecology of the surrounding land and the river. Particular concerns for the river and fish were the effects of acidification. Planting coniferous trees can increase the acidification of the land, and then that can leach into the river. The acidification leaches out heavy metals such as aluminium, which can be very, very toxic, particularly to young fish, young trout and young salmon. So what we're really looking now is to come back and to see what have fish numbers done now, 20 years on, now the forestry is fully established, and that, has there been an impact on the fish population? So we can compare the numbers we catch in the stream now to what it was, 20 odd years ago, over a number of technically baseline years.
The project started in 1982 when they planted what was a grouse moor with trees with the idea of sustainability of forest for UK, noble cause, but there was concerns even then about the effect that the forest would have on the stream. So in lieu of that they left a wide buffer margin with no pine trees planted to try and give a buffer zone to the stream. And we launched a project in 1982 to look at the effect on the fish populations of the forest. That project ran for about 15 years, and then funding died off, and that was it. So what we're doing with Game and Wildlife is I came back here just out of interest to have a look at the site some while back on a holiday I had, and saw the dramatic change that happened on the catchment. Mainly the growth of the deciduous trees in the lower river valley here. That gives me some concerns, because this stream relies on sunshine going into the stream to get the algae to grow that the insects can then eat, and then the fish can eat the insects. If you reduce that supply of algae, you're likely to reduce insects and fish as well, so you change the ecology. So Game and Wildlife are looking to set up a project to examine what is going on. It might be fine, it might be absolutely, the fish are still thriving, same growth patterns as before, and that's good. But on the other hand, if it is tipping the balance, we need to be able to put that information into the system regarding any new afforestation around streams, so we can make sure that fine, you can have forest, but don't disturb the ecology of these streams at the same time.
the numbers of salmon and sea trout are declining so much in our rivers. You know, numbers are probably about 20% of what they were back in the 60s and 70s. They have massive challenges ahead of them, and hopefully we can learn and understand more about those challenges and help as much as we can to maintain salmon and sea trout in our rivers, because numbers are so low now, particularly for salmon, that they are bordering on extinction. The NRW in Wales have now classify almost every salmon population, every river, as at risk.